All right, folks, welcome back. We're here for steps 3 and 4 of the skeptical progression of Meditation 1 of Descartes' Meditations on First Philosophy. In the last two videos, we saw steps 1 and 2. In step 1, we saw that Descartes called into question his beliefs about particular matters of fact by noting that his senses and testimony of others have often led him astray. That they are not 100% reliable. In step 2, he called into question abstract truths, truths like that all objects take up space, by noting that he might be dreaming. He has no way of knowing for certain if he's dreaming or not. So if we've eliminated abstract truths and truths about particular matters of fact, well, what's left? Well, what's left are a priori truths, truths that we can know prior to having had any experiences, whether those experiences are dreaming or actual experiences in the real world. It doesn't matter. They're truths that we can know without actually going out and looking at the world, without going out and having experiences of the world. So these are things like the truths of mathematics and geometry. A triangle is an object that has three sides, and the angles, at least a Euclidean triangle, the angles add up to 180 degrees. That's it. Like, we know that. We know that if something is a triangle, then the internal angles add up to 180 degrees. We don't need to go out and measure triangles to figure that out. We don't have to go out and examine triangles to figure that out. It's a definitional truth. We know it with absolute certainty, it seems. We know that 2 plus 2 equals 4, that it doesn't equal 5. That's a mathematical truth. We seem to know that with certainty. It seems to follow from some general axioms of mathematics or of arithmetic that we accept, Peano's axioms. Similarly, the definition of a triangle or of a circle or of a square follows from Euclid's axioms of geometry. It seems like these are things that we couldn't possibly doubt, right? Even if we're dreaming, we know what a triangle is, we know what a square is, we know what a circle is, we know that 2 plus 2 equals 5, or that 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's the same in our dreams or in reality or wherever we are. Well, is there any way we could call them into doubt? Descartes says, in fact, yeah. Suppose that God, this all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipotent, omniscient being, set out to deceive me. Suppose that God wanted me to be wrong in all of my beliefs, or that a God wanted me to be wrong in all of my beliefs. Well, then God could tinker with the world, tinker with my head, so that it always seems like 2 plus 2 equals 4, but in fact it equals 5. Or it always seems like, to me, that a triangle has 3 sides, but in fact it has 4. God could make triangles not triangles. God could maybe make a square circle. God could make it so that anytime I collect 2 objects together and 2 more objects together, a third object magically appears. So 2 plus 2 equals 5. I don't know that God's not deceiving me like this. I have no way of being sure that God's not messing with me constantly. That God's not constantly changing things up on me. And if I can't be sure that God's not deceiving me in this way, then I can't even know these a priori truths of mathematics and geometry. I got nothing left. No particular matters of fact, no abstract truths, and no a priori truths. I've now undermined all of my beliefs. But this is a hard position to maintain, right? As soon as you need something to drink and run to the kitchen to get some water, or need to go to the bathroom and run to the bathroom to go to the bathroom, or you need to go to the store and you think about which roads you have to go on to get there. Right? As soon as you have to act in the world in any way, you give up this skepticism rather quickly. You can't get on with your life if you walk around being skeptical in this way. So Descartes recognizes that it's going to be very difficult to maintain this skeptical doubt that he's arrived at. And so he gives us the final step in the skeptical progression. Step 4, he introduces us to the evil deceiver, or sometimes called the evil demon. He says, I'll imagine an evil deceiver who set out to deceive me in all of my beliefs. Right? This isn't just the doubt about God. God might deceive me sometimes. This is an evil deceiver who wants to deceive me always. Right? And I can't rule out the existence of such a being. I can't rule out the existence of a being that deceives me at each and every turn, that sets out to make it so that every single thing I believe is in fact false. Every single thing I think is absolutely true is in fact false. And so he imagines this evil deceiver. More modern versions of this are things like the Matrix. In the Matrix world, you are living in a pod being used to power the supercomputers that have taken over the world. And so human beings are essentially just batteries, and they're completely deceived about what reality is really like. Or a brain in a vat might be completely detached from the world out there around it, but might be made to believe that it is in fact acting in that world and perceiving that world. So Descartes says, imagine such a circumstance where there's this evil deceiver who's set out to make all of your beliefs false. You can't know that that's not the case. You have no way of being certain that you are not constantly deceived in this way. How would you ever test it? How would you ever figure that out? And since you can't know that a deceiver doesn't exist, it seems you can't trust any of your prior beliefs. That's the heuristic that I'll use, Descartes says. The heuristic I'll use to sustain my doubt. I will use it to ensure that I don't let any beliefs enter into my mind without proper examination, without being sure that I can trust them. So this evil deceiver completes the skeptical progression, and we end up with radical Cartesian doubt. We're in a position now where we don't know anything. We can't take anything for granted. We don't know if there's a world out there. We don't know if there's anything beyond our own minds. In fact, we don't even know if we have minds. We don't even know if we exist. We don't know the truths of mathematics, geometry. We don't know that objects exist. We don't know if they do exist, what they're like. We know absolutely nothing. Maybe we are just disembodied beings, disembodied minds floating around in the ether, and all of this is an imagination, is in our imaginations, put there by some deceptive being that controls us. Or maybe we're all part of a computer simulation. We're all just programming. We're all just switches on a motherboard. It seems like there's a world to us. It seems like we're interacting in that world. It seems like we're alive. We're making decisions. We're perceiving things. We're learning things. We're talking to one another. But in fact, none of that is true. That's the possibility that Descartes leaves us with at this point in the Meditations. And that's the end of meditation 1. In the next video, we'll pick up with meditation 2 and ask what Descartes' going to do with this radical doubt. Where do we go from here? Until then, take care.